Have you ever noticed that when your mind is loud, life is very, very confusing? You got 37 tabs open in your mind, 2 of them playing music, 1 of them is replaying trauma from 2009 when you tripped and fell in front of the classroom, and yet you're still trying to manifest things. I used to think I needed more strategy, more plans, more effort, when really I just needed less noise. Mental clarity is not about thinking harder. It's actually about thinking less so that you can see better. Okay, so boom, we are going to talk about the power of a quiet mind today, which will then lead us into a part 2, so to speak, of how to gain that mental clarity and how to maintain that mental clarity. Clarity is one of the best competitive advantages that you can have. Most people are overstimulated, overreactive, distracted, and although these are all natural emotions and we are bound to feel these at some point in our life, sometimes the feelings and these emotions are happening far too frequently. Some of us are constantly in this state of overstimulation, overreactiveness, and this distracted energy. A noisy mind can confuse fear with intuition. You would think you're making a decision based off discernment and this may be the best intuitive route to go, when really you're more than likely making a decision out of fear. When you're mentally cluttered, everything feels very urgent, but when you're mentally clear, you're able to move with a certain sense of precision. When your mind is chaotic, you chase. But when your mind is clear, you attract. And again, that's the recurring theme here. Nervous system regulation, attracting versus chasing. Because if you're chasing anything, why is it running from you? When your mind is clear, you're able to recognize aligned opportunities, right? So you're not doing the chasing. You're not making decisions based off of fear. You're not making decisions based off of desperation. You stop chasing and you start discerning. Your intuition becomes louder. You recognize certain patterns much faster. And then you tend to move with resonance versus reaction. Aligned opportunities will feel calm, they'll feel expansive, they'll feel clean. Mental clarity will help you feel that difference in your body. Mental clarity is less about attracting more and more about being able to filter things better. You know what they say about energy, how it cannot be created nor destroyed, only transmuted and transferred. So if you're using all of your energy with all this excess nonsense and clutter, you don't have the space or the capacity, another buzzword of ours, to even be able to filter through the things that you may be experiencing or seeing. Imagine clarity, because y'all know it's that time of year and I always need some windshield wiper fluid. But so imagine clarity being your windshield wiper fluid. Imagine you being like, okay, I know the road is here, but I can't see it. So you get that windshield wiper fluid and you clean off that windshield, and now you can see the path that was always there. It was always there. It's not something you had to go for. It's not something you had to chase. It's not something you had to think your way into. You literally just needed to clean the lens. And we're going to learn how to do that. So when it comes to clarity, it will magnetize opportunities because the right doors are always open if you're not constantly scrambling. Goes back to our road analogy and the windshield. It's not about the opportunities magically appearing. It's about you simply noticing them because you have the clarity and the capacity to take notice. When your mind is cluttered, you can tend to make decisions based off desperation. And, when you are desperate, you can tend to say yes to anything, right? It's almost like not being content with yourself and not being able to sit with yourself. So if you're looking for a romantic partner, you meet somebody and you just accept whoever, because you just sick of being alone versus being like, is this really somebody that I should be dealing with? Is this really somebody that I should be giving the time of day to? When you're out of desperation and your mind is clear, you're able to say, you know what, this person may not be for me. I may be choosing them because I'm bored or I'm lonely. When you're mentally clear, you're able to say no with peace. So you're able to be like, you know what, this is not for me, and you're okay with those decisions. You can only become a magnet to opportunities and a magnet to the things that you want with steadiness and not that urgency. Like, it's almost meeting somebody who you feel like they're so lucky. And it's like, again, they're not lucky. They're just clear. They know how to move when the time is right. They're not second guessing everything. They're just in the flow state. And it's okay. We're going to learn how to get there. Now, that's going to have to be a part 2, because that video might be a little long, but it's going to be super fun, super exciting, and very, very helpful. When you have a sense of mental clarity, you become far more trustworthy with others and with yourself. So me, for example, people will call me and they'll ask for certain advice, and I'll give them a certain perspective that they can't see at the moment, simply because they're emotionally charged, not because they aren't capable, not because they're a bad person or wrong, or, we all have moments where we are emotionally charged and unable to see things clearly. So again, when you have a certain sense of discernment and clarity, providing a different perspective to others helps you to build trust with others and with yourself. When your mind is quiet, you're able to make strategic and logical moves. But when your mind is cluttered and flustered, you tend to make emotional moves. And we all know that emotions are temporary. They go up and down. They come in waves. So again, this goes back to a couple episodes ago where we said you don't want to make emotionally charged decisions, whether these are positive emotions, negative emotions, whether you're super happy or super sad. You always want to bring yourself back to neutrality before you decide to make a move on something, whatever it may be for your own situation. So this episode was short and simple because the next episode is going to piggyback off of this one. Today's wellness tip is simply learning how to meditate. And I'm not talking about the kind where you sit like a monk and all the ohms and stuff. Like, we're going to learn how to meditate the real way, and we're going to learn what to expect, how to do it safely, and how to use it to your advantage so that you are able to make those clear decisions from a state of neutrality. Quick tips that I'll give you when it comes to meditating is you definitely want to observe your thoughts and allow them to flow, because I know we have this misconception that when it comes to meditation, you may have to completely shift your thoughts or shut off your thoughts and don't think, you're going to have thoughts. Okay. That's perfectly normal. When your mind wanders, you'll just gently bring it back. And again, you don't want to judge your thoughts. You just want to simply observe them. Meditation is not about stopping your thoughts. You're simply training your awareness. Meditation is like mental weightlifting. You build your meditative muscle. And every time your mind wanders during a meditation and you bring it back, you build that clarity muscle. When it comes to meditation, you want to start small, okay? It doesn't have to be insanely like, I'm sitting here in the dark for 2 hours. Like, no, you can start small and you can meditate for 3 minutes or 5 minutes and do that a few times a week, and then do 3 to 5 minutes every day, and then gradually build on the amount of time that you meditate to a point where, this is an everyday thing. This is an everyday practice. It feels just as natural as brushing your teeth. On my website, ashanteharrell.com, I'll put the link in the description. I have a book called Meditation 101 that I wrote myself. Chat ain't writing nothing over here, baby. But I wrote it from my direct experience with meditation, and we're going to elaborate in a longer form video on the things I wish I knew before I began meditating. But in the meantime, if you guys would like to download that ebook, it is available on my website, and it has become Very, very helpful to a lot of people. It's a great step-by-step guide for people who feel like they can't meditate, or for beginners who aren't sure what exactly meditation is or how to even go about starting. So if you're ready to sharpen your mind and stop living in all that mental static, by all means, head over to my website, click the link in the description, and download my little booklet. And if you're ready for this new journey, check out my next video, Things I Wish I Knew Before I Started Meditating. Because listen, nobody tells you the awkward parts. Nobody tells you the stuff that gets a little creepy and weird. Nobody tells you that your mind may become so clear that you almost feel like a completely different person, and you can't even believe the type of things you pick up on when you learn how to clarify your mentality. Clarity is power, and power doesn't scream. It's quiet. Thanks for joining me on this episode of It's Ashante, and I hope to see you all here next time. Bye.